No intro today, because this isn't one of those videos where we ease into things. This is one of those moments where you just say it exactly how it is. Liverpool Football Club right now feels like it's at a crossroads. Not in a few months, not at the end of the season, right now. And behind the scenes there is a growing feeling that FSG are in panic mode, because three massive decisions are staring them in the face. And every single one of them could end Arne Slot's time at Liverpool sooner than anyone expected. Let's break it down. The first decision is the one nobody at the club wanted to be having this early. Do you still believe in Arne Slot? Because when he came in, there was a clear vision. High energy football, control, a new identity, a fresh start after Klopp. And for a while you could see glimpses of it. But glimpses don't win you football matches, and they definitely don't win you titles. What we're seeing now is inconsistency creeping in again, not just in results, but in performances, in game management, in mentality. And that's the worrying part, because this isn't just about losing games. It's about how Liverpool are losing control of games. Late goals, dropped points, situations where you can almost feel it coming before it happens. That's not bad luck, that's a team that hasn't fully learned how to win under this system yet. So FSG now have to ask themselves, is this just a phase, or is this the reality? Because if it's the reality, then sticking with Slot becomes a massive gamble. Now the second decision, this is where everything escalates, because it's not happening in isolation. There is a name constantly hovering in the background, Xabi Alonso. And this is what changes everything, because if there was no clear alternative, maybe you give Slot more time, maybe you ride it out, maybe you trust the process. But when a manager like Alonso is out there, and not just out there, but thriving, building teams with structure, identity, control, suddenly patience becomes a lot harder. Because Alonso represents something very dangerous for FSG. A better option. Someone who knows the club. Someone who understands the expectations. Someone who has already shown he can take a group of players and turn them into a system that actually works week in, week out. And now the question becomes unavoidable. If you don't act now, do you risk losing him? Because Liverpool won't be the only club watching. And if FSG sit on their hands while Slot continues to struggle, they could miss the opportunity to bring in a manager who feels almost tailor-made for this job. That's the pressure. That's why the situation feels different. And that leads us to the third decision. And honestly, this might be the hardest one. Do FSG admit they might have got it wrong? Because make no mistake about it, pulling the trigger on Slot this early would be a huge statement. It would say that the plan hasn't worked, that the transition hasn't gone as expected, that the gamble didn't pay off. And ownership groups don't like doing that, especially not FSG. They've always backed their decisions, they've always been calculated, patient, strategic. But this is Liverpool Football Club. And patience only works when there are clear signs of progress. Right now, those signs are not consistent enough. And that's where the danger lies, because if you do nothing, you risk letting the season drift. You risk the players losing confidence, you risk the fans turning. And once that spiral starts, it becomes very difficult to stop. But if you act too quickly, you risk instability. You risk repeating the same cycle. So FSG are stuck. Three massive decisions. Stick with Slot and trust that things will improve. Move early and go all in on Alonso before someone else does. Or hesitate and risk losing control of both situations. And this is why it feels like panic mode, because there is no easy answer. There is no safe option. Every single choice carries risk. But here's the reality. At a club like Liverpool, you are judged on outcomes. And right now, the outcomes are not good enough. So unless something changes, and changes fast, we might be watching the beginning of the end of Arne Slot's Liverpool era. And with Xabi Alonso waiting in the wings, this situation could escalate very, very quickly. In other news, discontent is beginning to surface among sections of the Liverpool fanbase, with frustration spilling over in the aftermath of a damaging 1-1 draw against Tottenham that has left their Champions League hopes hanging in the balance. Arne Slot, already under mounting scrutiny, now faces increasing pressure as the season edges toward its conclusion, with results like this doing little to steady the mood around Anfield. Liverpool had appeared on course for a crucial 3 points when Dominic Szoboszlai's first-half free kick found its way past Guglielmo Vicario, handing the visitors a deserved lead. Yet, as has often been the case during this inconsistent campaign, control slipped late on. Richarlison's stoppage-time equaliser not only denied Slot's side victory, but also prevented them from closing the gap on 4th-placed Aston Villa, further complicating their push for a top-4 finish. Amid the fallout, Alexis Mac Allister has emerged as a focal point for criticism. The Argentine, so influential during last season's title-winning run, has struggled to replicate that level of performance this term. His display against Spurs encapsulated those difficulties, with the midfielder winning just 2 of his 17 ground duels, a statistic that has not gone unnoticed among supporters. Reaction online was swift and, at times, unforgiving. One supporter claimed Mac Allister should be the first one offloaded in the summer, while another labelled him the weakest player in the squad, reflecting the growing impatience with underperforming individuals. It is not just Mac Allister under the microscope either, with Mohamed Salah, Ibrahima Konate, and Andy Robertson all reportedly facing uncertain futures as Liverpool prepare for what could be a significant summer overhaul. Mac Allister, who arrived from Brighton in 2023, has made over 130 appearances for the club and remains a key figure despite his dip in form. However, the wider picture suggests Liverpool are already planning for change. Defensive reinforcements are expected to be a priority, particularly with Joe Gomez attracting external interest and Konate's contract situation unresolved heading into the final months. There are also longer-term considerations. Giovanni Leone's ongoing recovery from an ACL injury leaves a gap in the club's defensive planning, while former academy product Jarell Quansah, now developing in Germany, has been linked with a potential return. Having originally joined Liverpool at the age of 5 and gone on to make 58 senior appearances, the prospect of bringing him back could appeal as the club looks to balance experience with familiarity. Ultimately, much will hinge on whether Liverpool secure Champions League qualification. Sitting 5th and only a point above Chelsea, the margin for error is minimal. Failure to finish in the top 4 would not only represent a significant sporting setback, but could also reshape the club's transfer strategy, with key decisions looming over both incoming and outgoing personnel in what is shaping up to be a pivotal summer. But that is all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for daily Liverpool content. We post all the latest Liverpool news every day, so join our fast-growing community so you never miss out. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.